Today's video has been one of the most requested as of recently, so I'm going to be basically answering a lot of your guys' questions to do with fitness, to do with food, to do with macros, reverse dieting, and I'll be taking you through a killer leg session. So before we get started, I did want to let you guys know that this video is actually sponsored by Squarespace, so thank you so much Squarespace for sponsoring this video. So if you haven't heard me talk about Squarespace before, it is basically an all-in-one website builder platform where myself and C Active is currently running their website on. I'm currently in the middle of revamping my website, so I'm so excited to show you guys what it's going to look like. It's for a big project that I'm working on, so I am so excited to share it with you. But I will leave all the links and everything in the description below about Squarespace. I highly recommend them if you're wanting to build your website or sell anything online. They have amazing templates and such good customer service, so if you are interested in signing up, I will put my link on the screen and that'll give you an extra 10% off your first domain purchase. And if you do want to find out more, like I said, I will leave everything in the description below. So in today's video, I will be covering a lot to do with training and if men and women should be training the same, and if so, what we should do as women to kind of work with our training, our reps and our sets to work for our full ability. If you have been following my journey, you would know that I am currently reverse dieting and I'm trying to build some lean muscle mass, so I will be talking a lot about that within the video. But first up, let's show you the leg session.
As you would see over on my Instagram, Joel and I train together most days, and this is a question I get asked quite a fair bit: should men and women train the same? I feel like a lot of girls have this misconception that if they train like men, they're going to get big and bulky like men. Unfortunately, it's not that easy to get jacked. Men and women actually build muscle differently because of type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers. So type 1 is a slow twitch fiber, and I look at this kind of like a marathon runner. Slower to fatigue, longer endurance, and more volume. And type 2, I kind of look at this one as Usain Bolt. It's a fast twitch fiber, so it's more explosive, short movements. And women are actually higher in type 1. So this doesn't mean that we build muscle less efficiently at all. It just means that if we tweak with our training, it will work in our best ability. So because we are slower to fatigue and we can have longer endurance, I would recommend upping your reps or upping the volume with the areas that you want to build. And the reason behind this just really comes down to how our body's made, our estrogen levels. We have better blood flow, which allows us to actually recover that little bit quicker than men from our training. To give you a bit of clarity in rep range, I aim for around 10 to 15 reps. It's really depending on what movement or exercise that I'm doing. If it's like a compound lift, so my squat, my deadlifts, a more heavier lift, I'll aim for around 10 reps. If it's anything where it's like leg extensions or a bit of pulsing movements, I'll aim a little bit higher. Not saying that men can't do this, because that's very black and white. It's definitely good for women to incorporate more explosive movements and men to incorporate more long endurance movements, but this is just kind of giving you a rough idea in what to do most days for your training. But overall in the gym, Joel and I do the same exercises, obviously different weights. I tend to tweak with it, so if he's doing quads and I'm wanting to, focus on my glutes, I'll add in more glute exercises, some pulsing at the end of my workout. I also up my volume with areas that I want to grow. So when I first got to the gym, I just thought I had to train everything and anything. But I've understood now that if you want something to grow, you have to have a lot of volume in that week in how often you're hitting it. So I train my glutes, I train my back, I train areas that I want to grow. I don't train chest with Joel because I don't really want my chest to grow. I will train glutes, or I'll train biceps or shoulders or back or something, an area that I want to grow. When I first started weight training, the concept behind building muscle and reps and rest time, I was just so overwhelmed. There is just so much information out there, and I understand how it can be. It can be a little bit stressful. So basically the goal with my channel is to express it and go away about it in an easy to understand manner and simplify it all, because I wish I had that type of information when I first started. So to simplify it for you guys, protein is made up of a chain of amino acids. There's many protein with different functions in our body, such as hormones, transport, and the structural difference of these proteins be in the order and sequence structure of the amino acid that make up that protein. So There are 9 essential amino acids, and we get them through food. So this is amino acids that our body does not actually produce. When it comes down to building muscle, protein synthesis needs to be exceeded. Those catabolic stimulus that we place on it through training, progressive overload, actually kickstart protein synthesis. And this is why it's so vital to have your nutrition on point, especially when you're wanting to build muscle, because when you are weightlifting, you're actually tearing your muscle, and you need to fuel that muscle with enough protein and enough food in order for it to repair and then grow. Supplements, it can be a really confusing market. Honestly, I would just focus on the fundamental, and that is being in a slight calorie surplus and eating enough protein. Because if you have a poor diet and you're only really focusing on some vitamins and some fish oil tablets and protein powder, you still have a poor diet, and that is the most important thing. So once you strip away all this confusing media stuff and start to focus on the fundamentals, and it's just lifting weights and eating well and training well. So my next tip would actually be to train properly. Have a split program where it's focusing on progressive overloading, because when I first got to the gym, I just would lift everything with no method, and it is so important to have a method and to actually train the same every single week and just focus on upping your weight. So progressive overloading and fixing your form and fixing your tempo. So I find, especially on social media, we are exposed to thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of workouts. It is so overwhelming, and really you just need to focus on the basics when it comes down to lifting weights. Because you see so many different glute exercises and so many different pulsing. Really just focus on lifting the weight and focusing on your form and adding weight every single week. So focus on your compound movements, so your deadlifts, your squat, your bench press if you want to train chest, not me. And then really focus on improving that lift. That's what you need to be focusing on. Don't try to have a different exercise routine every single week. Really focus on perfecting your exercise routine every single week. Like I was saying before, volume is so important. That protein synthesis needs to be stimulated enough throughout the week in order for your muscles to grow like a significant amount. So again, train what you want to grow and have your split program and focus on the areas that you want to grow and add them in enough throughout your week. So I'm currently training legs 3 times a week because I am wanting them to grow. If I have enough energy, sometimes 4, because that's an area that I really, really want to grow at the moment. And obviously down the track, my goals will change and I can change it up a little bit. Honestly, educating myself has been everything. So that's one thing I definitely would recommend. I started training with people who knew what they were doing. I would get a personal trainer, or I train with friends who knew what they were doing, or I train with my partner to push me. So yeah, really educating yourself or having someone around you who knows what they're doing, just so you can start off having a little bit of a plan and a bit of a knowledge when it comes down to lifting weights and how to do it. So educating yourself or training with someone who knows what they're doing. If you don't know anything about macronutrients, they can be quite confusing at first. I have actually linked up a video where I interview Christine from Gorge Girl Training. She's a nutrition expert and she talks about how to actually calculate your macros for your goals and your body type. And that's something that is really, really vital to understand, is that your body type and what you need is completely different to what someone else needs, and especially for your goals. It is important to also understand the basics with macronutrients, so the carbs, protein, and fat. Carbohydrates is our first source of energy, so that's where our body gets its energy from. Fat helps regulate our hormones, supports cell growth, and protein is basically the king macronutrient, increases muscle mass and strength, and is the most satiating macro, so it's one that keeps you most satisfied. Obviously, there is more to these macronutrients, but I've just put together the fundamentals. I currently do track my macronutrients. I find it such a helpful tool. Obviously, this tool is for those who are going to use it in a positive way. If you feel like you're going to have a negative relationship with it and you're going to be obsessing over it, then I actually wouldn't recommend tracking. Tracking is only a tool to help you achieve your goals and help you understand nutrition, macronutrients, and food a little bit more, because tracking has definitely helped me become more in tune with my body, knowing why I feel a bit sluggish or why I have a lot of energy. Because it's all tracked, I can then go back and have a look at that. So personally, I find tracking a really helpful tool, especially with my goals. Whether I am going through a mini cut or I'm going through a bulk, it's really good to have an awareness and work towards that. And yeah, this is just for me and my personal goals. I do like to track. I would recommend tracking. It does also, especially if you have a goal pull you away from this whole needing a diet. So whether it's intermittent fasting or low carb, the science behind losing fat and gaining muscle is just calories in versus calories out. There's no perfect way of doing that. There's no perfect time to eat. There's no low carb, low fat. There's no perfect way. It's just really about focusing on your macros for your goals and your body type. How to target fat loss. You can't, unfortunately. There's no specific workout that will juice fat in a particular area. So I get this question all the time. People being like, what workout can I do to lose fat in my arm? You can't choose where you want to reduce your fat. But building muscle mass changes your body composition. So there are 3 different body types. Again, this is quite black and white, but this is just to have a little bit of awareness on what yours could be and then work towards that. So working with that. So I am actually an ectomorph, meaning that I'm quite a little build. I'm small. It's hard for me to put on body fat, but it's also really hard for me to put on muscle. And if I do put on any body fat, it's actually around my midsection. So in order to kind of work with my body composition, I have really focused on building up my glutes and building up my back in order to kind of shrink my waist a little bit more. That's just a goal for me. I have actually got a lot of questions lately of people being like, how have you been able to minimize your waist size? And your waist is your ribs. You can't shrink bones, but you can actually build up other areas, which gives you the illusion. So it's just really about knowing your body type and what to work towards in order to get your goal physique. So if you are wanting to reduce fat in a specific area, you can't spot that area. You're going to need to reduce fat as a whole, so overall. In saying that though, muscle mass definitely does decrease your body fat percentage. It hires your metabolic rate because it requires more energy to burn every single day. So there are so many benefits towards upping your muscle mass, which can in the long run lead to a lower body fat percentage. This is a topic that I spoke about on my story not long ago and I had such good feedback, so I thought I would add it in this video. So is faster cardio better for fat loss? So when you train faster, what that does is increases fat oxidation. So that refers to the process of breaking down fatty acids. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to burn more fat or burn more calories. If you are wanting to incorporate cardio, it really doesn't matter when you do it because overall, like I said, it comes down to calories in versus calories out. You don't even really need to do cardio if you're wanting to burn body fat because if you're making sure that you are in a calorie deficit, cardio is not necessary. I would actually just recommend focusing on your daily NEAT, so your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, so roughly how many calories that you're burning just being active during your day. I'll just really focus on upping that and being more productive outside of the gym. And what this is going to do is also help you create healthy habits for the long run rather than really wrecking yourself in the gym and doing stupid amounts of cardio and going on the treadmill. You're not going to be doing that for the rest of your life. So why make that habit now? Start making more sustainable habits. So upping your NEAT and going for, the off walks or just being more active and making them habits to parking a little bit further away from the shops and walking that little bit of a distance. These small habits is what creates the bigger change in the long run. And this is always stuff that I would recommend. Rather than having, such extreme goals and completely changing your habits that aren't sustainable, start to just chip away and focus on sustainable, good habits that are going to help you for the rest of your life. Also, I know I did say in this video I was going to talk about reverse dieting, but I actually do feel that reverse dieting, it's such a big topic and I do want to speak in depth about it, so I will need to make a complete video dedicated towards it. So do stay tuned for that. Make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss that video.
I hope you guys did enjoy the style of video. It was a little bit different. My editing style was different and I did do a little bit of a voiceover. I find I'm able to cover a little bit more that way and you guys are able to actually see cool footage. So I hope you did like this style of editing. At the end of our session, we did actually do some abs. If you are following my Instagram, you would know that I am trying to incorporate more ab sessions and build my core strength up a little bit. I am going to pop up a video here with my favorite core exercises. So something that we are shown on the internet is all these core exercises to do, and it's just a stupid amount of variations, and I've put together my staple and my favorites that I do, and I don't worry about the rest. So just click that video up here. If you are new here, make sure you do subscribe because it really supports my channel, and if you did like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.